On May 19, 2025, the European Parliament reached a deal to introduce an EU-wide compulsory licensing mechanism for crisis-relevant patented products. This enables rapid, non-exclusive, and temporary licensing in emergencies without rights holder consent. This mechanism is a last resort option to secure uninterrupted access to critical medicines across member states and complements voluntary mechanisms under frameworks like the Single Market Emergency Instrument. In this report, we analyze how this legislation may impact our top biopharma players. We identify the 3 leaders most financially impacted by the new rules and review the likely market access strategies they will need to adopt moving forward. Our analysis is based on the following for key considerations. First, we evaluate the likely financial impact of the new rules by assessing each company's exposure to EU sales and their crisis product portfolios. Second, we benchmark the crisis product value propositions to determine which companies offer the most compelling solutions for member states to prioritize. Third, we examine how the market landscape has evolved since the pandemic to understand where these companies are well or poorly positioned. And fourth, we review real-world evidence on patient adherence and outcomes for each company's crisis products to assess the strength of their current positions. Based on these considerations, we find that Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca are the top 3 biopharma leaders most exposed to the new compulsory licensing regime. Each of these companies had crisis products that generated tens of billions of dollars in revenue during the pandemic. But the new rules introduce a significant risk to patent exclusivity on high-value emergency use products, potentially eroding tens of billions in revenue for these companies during future crises. We also identify 11 products that address the most critical unmet needs based on the speed of onset, duration of protection, and ease of administration. We further narrowed this list to 3 products that deliver the best overall value proposition for member states, including Pfizer's Comirnaty, Moderna's Spikevax, and AstraZeneca's Vaxzevria. These vaccines prevented millions of symptomatic cases and hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations and are estimated to have saved over $30 billion in direct healthcare costs and generated more than 1 million quality-adjusted life years. Looking ahead, we expect key trends to shape the market landscape. First, a technology push as mRNA and viral vector platforms gain wide validation beyond COVID-19, including for oncology, RSV, flu, and other indications. Second, a market pull as global demand for flexible surge capacity and resilient supply grows, driving a greater focus on regional self-sufficiency and EU-based manufacturing for essential medicines. These trends signal a strong transition from patent-only models to platform-based collaboration and manufacturing network strategies. Despite the headwinds, we see evidence of strong patient adherence and real-world improvements across all 3 products. Adherence remained above 70% among high-risk and essential worker groups due to strong safety, trust, and mandates. Comirnaty delivered over 1 million quality-adjusted life years and prevented extensive direct medical costs. Spikevax reduced hospitalization durations significantly among high-risk populations, and Vaxzevria contributed to broad access with moderate efficacy and a favorable incremental cost-effectiveness ratio in resource-limited settings. While these products face generic competition, we highlight Novavax as the top competing niche player. The company generated just under $1 billion in revenue in 2023, primarily from the sale of its protein subunit vaccine with Matrix-M adjuvant. Its advantages include high efficacy in late-stage trials, traditional storage requirements, and appeal to mRNA-hesitant populations. However, slower manufacturing scalability and less global reach compared to mRNA competitors limit its overall market defense in a crisis. Looking ahead, we expect biopharma leaders to pursue strategies to secure market access during crises. First, advance purchase agreements, or PUS, to secure large volumes early through government negotiations. Second, voluntary licensing to enable regional production to preempt compulsory licenses. Third, local manufacturing footprints Fourth, tiered pricing models to offer equitable pricing to preserve goodwill and supply control. To identify the top fast license buyers of biosimilars, we analyzed companies with agile global manufacturing capabilities based on our biosimilars competitive index. The top 5 biosimilars buyers are Sandoz Group AG, Samsung Biologics, Celltrion, Amgen, and Pfizer Centrione. These firms have the capacity, regulatory readiness, and distribution channels to rapidly respond to emergency use licenses and biosimilar demand. In conclusion, the EU's compulsory licensing exception represents a turning point for crisis preparedness policy, signaling a clear preference for public access over patent exclusivity during emergencies. Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca are most financially exposed.